Good evening, everyone. So, I am Nino Rica Lasdose and I am currently taking Masters in Public Administration. So, I choose to pursue this master degree because I want to improve my knowledge and skills as an educator. Although my academic background is in biology education, I also want to learn about the topics beyond my field, so such as public administration. So I believe that understanding these topics will help me become a more effective teacher and a responsible member of the society. So today I will be discussing the Module 5, Contemporary Issue and Sustainability, which focuses on the challenges that communities face today and the different ways we can build a more sustainable and a better for everyone. So the topics I will be discussing today are the following. So, climate change and the environment, migration patterns, social inclusion, technology, and the governance. So, to begin with, let's first understand the contemporary issues and sustainability. So, if we see contemporary issues, it is a current problems or challenges that affect society today. While if we see sustainability, it means meeting the needs of people today without harming the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So it focuses on balancing economic growth, social well-being, and environmental protection. So examples of contemporary issues that we encountered today is the climate change, pollution, urbanization, poverty, migration, housing shortages, traffic congestions, and natural disasters. So like for example, in our country, so the government has the National Disaster Risk Reductions and Management Plan, or the NDRRMP, to help communities prepare for disasters and adapt to climate change. So local government, or the LGUs, also carry out projects such as flood control systems, tree planting, and proper waste management to make the community safer and more sustainable. So now let's move on to our next topic, which is the climate change and the environment. So what is climate change? So climate change is the long-term change in Earth weather patterns, mainly caused by the human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and pollution. So these activities increase greenhouse gases, which trap heat and make the planet warmer. So what are examples of climate change? So examples of climate change are rising global temperatures, extreme weather events, flooding, drought, or the sea level rise. So example of climate change and the environment. So the Typhoon Yolanda in 2013. So it causes a widespread destruction, especially in Eastern Visayas. So after the disaster, the Philippine government strengthened disaster preparedness, early warning systems, and community resilience programs to reduce the impacts of future disasters. So let's move to the urban heat islands and the rural resource depletion. So what's the difference between the two? So if we say urban heat islands, it occurs when cities become much hotter than the nearby rural areas because of the concrete buildings, roads, vehicles, and the lack of trees and the green spaces. So these materials also absorb and retain heat, making urban areas warmer. Like for example, sa urban heat island are Metro Manila. So Metro Manila today, experience higher temperatures because of the dense buildings, heavy traffic, and limited green spaces. So if we say rural resource depletions, this is the overuse or loss of natural resources in rural areas such as forests, water, fertile soil, and farmland. So this often happens because of deforestations, mining, overfarming, pollutions, and climate change. So examples are some upland areas in the Philippines experience deforestation, which can lead to soil erosion, flooding, reduced agricultural productivity. So like for example, so these problems affect people's health, livelihoods, and the environment. So in rural and urban development, government should increase green spaces in the cities and protect natural resources, in rural areas. So these actions help create healthier, safer, and more sustainable communities. So let's go to the disaster risk reductions and the climate adaptation. So what is disaster risk reductions or the DRR? So si DRR, it means taking actions before disaster happens to reduce its impact on people, property, and the environment. Like for example, may mga early warning systems, may emergency preparedness, and community education and hazard mapping. So these examples can mitigate or lessen the disaster before it happens. So climate adaptations, so what is climate adaptations? Si climate adaptations naman means adjusting to the effects of the climate change so that communities can better cope with floods, mga droughts, mga stronger storms, rising temperatures, and other climate-related risks. So, therefore, tong nahitabo tong Typhoon Yolanda in the Philippines, atong country, government strengthened disaster preparedness through the NDRRMP. So, many local government units also conduct regular evacuation drills, install early warning systems, and build flood controls projects to better protect their communities. So let's go to the migration patterns. So what is migration patterns? So from the word itself, migration, so moving to another country or moving to another places, no? So it is referred to the movement of people from one place to another. And the reasons why they move, people may migrate with a country or to another country for better opportunities, safety, education, or because environmental changes. So there are 4 types of migration. So first is forced migration. If we say forced migration, it is the people are forced to move because of disaster, conflict, or other emergencies. Then the second one is urban to rural migration. So si urban to rural migration is the people move from cities to rural areas for a lower cost of living, farming, or a better quality of life. Then the third one is rural to urban migration is people move from rural areas for jobs, for educations, and better services. Then there are also called international migration. So international migrations, people move to another country for work, study, or permanent residence. So there are many lots of Filipino people going abroad, no, para trabaho dito. So daghan na nahitabo. So what are the causes, no? Causes is sometimes natural disasters, conflict, poverty, or lack of employment. So what is managing demographic pressure? So managing demographic pressure means planning and managing the effects of growing or changing population so that communities have enough housing, jobs, schools, healthcare, transportations, and other basic services. So if we say demographic pressure, so it happens when the population grows faster than the available resources and public service. So sa urban challenges, no, sa urban challenge is there are housing shortage, mga traffic, informal settlements, waste management, healthcare demand. So the better solution for that, no, sa urban challenge is the smart urban planning, affordable housing, efficient public transportation, balanced regional development. So many people, no, migrate from provinces to Metro Manila because of work, because of education. So this has increased the demands for housing, transportation, schools, and healthcare. So to address this, the government must promote regional development by improving infrastructure and creating economic opportunity in other regions through patterns like the Build Better More program or the BBMP, and invest in growth centers outside Metro Manila. So next topic would be the social inclusion. So ano naman yung social inclusion? So si social inclusions, no, means giving everyone equal opportunities and equal access to services regardless the gender, the age, the disability, or the social background. So, what is the importance now of social inclusion? So, it reduces inequality, it promotes participation, and it improves quality of life. Like for example, our program, the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino or the 4PIS, it provides financial assistance to low-income families to help them access education and healthcare. So this program promotes social inclusion by supporting families who need the most help. So, social inclusion and gender in development and marginalized community. So, if we say gender in development means giving equal opportunities, rights, and beliefs. So, to both women and men in development programs and government services, it makes sure that everyone can participate and benefit regardless of gender. So, marginalized communities, these are also the groups of people who have limited access to opportunities, to service and resource because of poverty, disability, age, location, ethnicity, or other social factors. So they are often left behind in the development. So, examples in the Philippines, no, sa atong country, indigenous people, people with disabilities, or those the PWDs, the poor families, people living in the remote rural areas, informal settlers in urban communities, and senior citizens. So the government no should make sure that everyone benefits from the development, especially women and marginalized communities. So this means providing equal access to education, healthcare, jobs, housing, transportations, and public service so that no one should live behind. So next would be the social inclusion and equitable access to public goods. So pag sinabi naman natin equitable access to public goods means making sure that everyone has a fair chance to use the important public services and facilities, especially those who need more support. So it does not always means giving everyone the same thing, but giving people what they need so that everyone can benefit. So what are examples of public goods? So examples of public goods are public schools, government hospitals and healthcares, public roads and bridges, parks and open spaces, clean water and sanitation, disaster preparedness, and emergency preparedness. So equitable access means that people in both cities and rural areas should have fair access to basic services and public facilities. So, government should prioritize communities that have fewer resources are difficult to reach so that no one is left behind. Like for example, so the government should build farm to market routes in rural areas so farmers can transport their products more easily. This improve their incomes and give rural communities better access to markets and services. So let's proceed to the last topic, which is the technology in governance. So technology in governance means using digital tools and technology to improve how the government services people. So to make the work easier, no? It helps make government service faster, easier, more transparent, and more efficient. So what are examples of technology in e-governance? So examples are online payment of taxes and government fees, digital national IDs, online application for permits and licenses, government websites that public information, emergency warning system using text message, and mobile apps. So technology helps improve public services, communication, and decision making. So it allows people to access government services more easily, whether they live in the cities or a remote rural areas. So it also helps government plan projects, manage disasters, and respond to community needs more effectively. So like for example, no, in our country, so we use the Philippine Identification System, so which allows citizens to have digital ID that makes it easier to access government services, open bank accounts, and receive social assistance. So next would be the GIS and the digital land records. So if we say GIS or Geographic Information System, it is a technology that helps collect, store, analyze, and display informations about places on the map. Then digital and land records are electronic records or a land or the ownership boundaries and property information. So they replace paper records and making them easier to access and manage. Examples: mapping roads, rivers, schools, and hospital using GIS. Using GIS. So using digital maps to identify flood-prone areas and storing land titles and property boundaries in digital system, and using GIS to plan where new roads, parks, or public facility should be built. So the land registration, like for example, the Land Registration Authority or the LRA is modernizing land records through digital system to make land registration faster, more accurate, and more secure. So local government units also use GIS to identify flood risk areas and plan evacuation routes during disaster. So in conclusion, thank you everyone. In conclusion, rural and urban development is important in improving people's quality of life. So by addressing challenges such as climate change, migration, social inclusions, and the use of technology governance, we can build communities that are safe, inclusive, and sustainable. So as a future public administrators, we have the responsibility to support good governance and create programs that benefit everyone. So thank you for your time and attentions, and have a great day, and God bless everyone.